Well, Henshaw here again, your friendly local constitutional counselor from California, and this is part two of how you invoke the only right they think we have, effective assistance of counsel to gain your freedom. It's not what you've been taught up to now, but trust me, I've got a great take on this, and they're going to be either forced to do it or dismiss all the charges against you with prejudice to the cause. Now, a big reason for that is, that the average Joe six pack today, the relationship to government is perceived as at least at best guardian and ward, if not master and slave. You're going to learn all about that and how it came to be. But the original intent of those racist framers, the relationship was principal and agent. They're the ones that do our bidding, and that's the way it should be working, and that's what we want back. And we go back to the original intent, and it wasn't a perfect government, but we can make changes and do it right, consistent with the Constitution, not an outright violation, as you're going to learn the 14th Amendment. Everybody loves that fucking 14th Amendment. Never existed. Never. You're going to learn all about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And that's all they think there is. That's the only citizenship. And they're going to find out, by the way, and I can prove this with the California Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court having ruled that no white citizen owes his citizenship to the recently adopted amendments. This is back in the 1870s, which is not only contemporaneous, it's conclusive. But the good news is that Asians and Africans aren't bound, to that citizenship either. What they may end up being for the moment is inhabitants of states or inhabitants of territories, but they will have creator endowed inalienable rights. And that changes the scenario because now you get these eight law enforcement thugs in Akron, Ohio, that go out and shoot Jalen Walker in the back 48 times during the course of a traffic arrest of which the court wouldn't have had jurisdiction, and nobody even gets indicted for involuntary manslaughter. With the system we want back, all these bastards would be sitting right now on death row where they should be, first degree murder. That's the kind of change we need to see happen. And you'll notice the system does this almost exclusively with black victims and usually white shooters. I'm not sure if 8 of those that were involved in Akron there were any blacks involved there, but I'm willing to bet you about 5 or 6 of them were ex-military. That's not a qualification for a peace officer, though it might be for a law enforcement thug. But these people, especially with military, I mean, who knows what they get put through when they go through the ringer there, especially with the Marine Corps and all the mental crap they do on them, to the point they can't tell the difference between Kabul, Afghanistan, and Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's how bad it is. We want to get back to peace officers. That's much more like it. And you'll learn more about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. Learn more about what I do, how I do it. It's inexpensive, very reasonable. And you start making these efforts here and invoking counsel, with these documents on the record sent by email to counsel that you want to consult. And he's either going to have to tell you why you're wrong, but they can't do it because we're not wrong, or they're going to have to file our documents, get a hearing on the record, and now the justice system and the backroad bastards will be forced to listen to us. That's not going to happen either, because if that scenario plays out, what you're going to get is an immediate dismissal of charges with prejudice to the cause. Case over. And as I said in my first video, by the way, it doesn't matter. This is not just criminal. Everything else is quasi-criminal at best. Whether that's child protective services, foreclosures, evictions, you name it. It's all federal, regional, martial law rule. That's the admiralty jurisdiction known to those racist framers as a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and I'll explain to you how they think we're subject to that jurisdiction. But they're dead wrong, and they always have been. But you have to make the right issues when you get into, hopefully, a judicial court. And you're going to learn that apparently none of those exist. And that's astounding in its own right because that means that every law on the books is null and void, non pro tunc ab initio from day one, has a bill of attainder. That's not to be confused with due process of law, equal protection, all that 14th Amendment bullshit. These are the real rights that we have. And you start making those claims, and that's when things start to turn around. And that's what you want to do for you, your children, and your posterity. That's how good this is. And inexpensive, and there may be some big settlement payouts there too, because all what you're going to learn. And by the way, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. What you're going to learn is all these trips, whether they know it or not. And these are all, most of them attorneys, they're law school graduates, they're experts on the law, right? And they don't know they're committing acts of treason to the Constitution. Oh, I would love to get them to explain that to a foreman of a federal criminal grand jury as to how you think you don't know. And they're liable anyway, even if they don't. That's not our problem. We start putting as many of these bastards away as we can, maybe an all expenses paid vacation to Alligator Alcatraz. See you later. That's going to start making changes quicker than anything else. But the good news is Trump knows what's going on, and you'll learn about his recent executive order that sounds almost exactly like me. I believe Bondi does, and she's going to be a key player here. You'll learn more about that. And the current justices of the U.S. Supreme Court are in their sixth year of at least acting at times like an Article 3 judicial court. They haven't got fully there yet, but before this term ends, that may very well happen because they know what the big problem is. It's the 14th Amendment. And boy, when that comes down, and they're going to have to admit on that court they've been complicit here for the last 90 or 100 years in not doing their job. But this is the time for the truth to come out, and they tell the American people, we'll take care of it, and we're going to do our job here. Approval rating is going to shoot through the ceiling if that happens. But now we get there and we get our issues ruled on and or summarily thrown out with prejudice, meaning they can't be brought again. That's the direction we want to go. It's that exciting. Now send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and learn more about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and get my modestly priced materials. And that's the key to the whole thing, because you want to get those in so that officially, one way or the other, on the record, we'll be talking about that. So that when you do consult with one of their attorneys, he's going to see what you have. And he knows he can't go in there and file those documents. So what's going to happen is they have to dismiss the charges because we have the right to be heard. And we haven't been, not only in this context, but with elections. You're going to learn there hasn't been a valid election since 1864. Wow, it is that bizarre, but it's all true. That's why I'm so excited at my age. I'll be 78 next year. I don't feel anything like that, thank goodness. I've had divinely gifted good health, and I'm thankful for that every day. But that said, this is exciting. You can teach your kids your posterity so they don't get caught up in all this. And we start get decisions on the record here, and I think we're going to be soon be able to do that. Now it's going to stop them dead in their tracks unless they want to go to an open military warfare, which would at least be truth in advertising if they did that. Not saying that'll happen, mind you, but that's truth in advertising. That's what they're doing. Federal, regional, martial law rule. That's why the yellow fringes around the flag. I mean, all this crap has got to stop. And you have black robed bastards in there, not neutral judicial magistrates. All of that has to change. And when that does, we can get back to how great America used to be and make it even greater by working hard to change it in accordance with the Constitution, not in contradiction of it. So send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. You'll learn more about that. And remember to subscribe, tell your friends, like the videos, get the word out. The sooner we start taking matters in our own hands and doing it right with this counsel issue, the quicker we get our rights and our lives and our freedom back. Thank you.